The American people absolutely need to see this video. I think they would be shocked, sickened, even ashamed by this second video. And there is no justification for withholding this second video when the other videos have already been shown. There are no sources and methods that would be compromised. And I was just really deeply disturbed, even shocked.
You know, I have deep concerns about the justification. We are hoping, and what everyone needs to do is this. Every person in this country needs to at least be sure that every member of Congress sees this video. It is up to us to declare war. It is up to us to see that they're withholding this video. Number one is particularly distressing. Number two, why do they release some videos and not this video? And so they say, well, those videos are edited. Well, you may edit out sources and methods in these videos as well. So again, their justification for not allowing members of Congress, who this is our oversight ability, firing inspector generals, kicking out of the press squad from the Pentagon and replacing them with people who are not members, real members of the press, again, removes transparency, removes oversight. They're not allowing us to see it. And if they could edit all the other videos that Secretary Hegseth he liked, they can sure as hell edit this one. And so again, Secretary Hegseth is showing his deep disdain for members of Congress, his disrespect for members of the military and the rule of law and the rules of war and engagement. And so we will continue to press this issue. Thank you.
This just confirms what I said yesterday, that the processes we're using to find, fix, and finish these terrorists are the same processes we've been using across multiple combatant commands, geographies all over the world, multiple administrations, Republican and Democrat, with allies as well, our Five Eyes allies and our NATO allies. We've been conducting thousands of strikes like this for years. It's not pretty for folks in this body, very few of whom have served, even fewer have served in combat. Seeing people get killed on video is not fun, and they don't like the messy reality that we kill bad guys, and that's our job. So Admiral Bradley's done a great job. I'm totally confident in the legal basis for what he's done, and we got to keep going, because until these guys are done shipping drugs, there's still a threat. It's worth pointing out that since these strikes have begun, the amount of drugs crossing into America has absolutely plummeted. And those drugs kill thousands, tens of thousands of Americans. So the job that this task force has been given by the administration, which is to eliminate the flow of drugs into this country, is working. And everything they're doing is legal. So they have my full support.
The American people absolutely need to see this video. I think they would be shocked, sickened, even ashamed by this second video. And there is no justification for withholding this second video when the other videos have already been shown. There are no sources and methods that would be compromised. And I was just really deeply disturbed, even shocked. I think there are serious questions about criminal culpability here. And there is certainly a need for more intensive, thorough investigation, an immediate subpoena for all of the records, documents, orders, after-action reports, and other videos. And I'm deeply worried that there may be a loss or destruction of evidence here. There's ample justification to seize tankers that are under sanction. And in fact, I would urge that we seize all of the shadow fleet tankers that are transporting Russian oil, clearly fueling Russia's war machine against Ukraine.
We're also going to tomorrow allow the HASC and SASC to see the unedited video of the September 2nd, alongside with Admiral Bradley, who has done a fantastic job, has made all the right calls, and we're glad he'll be there to do it. But in keeping with long-standing Department of War policy, Department of Defense policy, of course we're not going to release a top-secret, full, unedited video of that to the general public. HASC and SASC and appropriate committees will see it, but not the general public.
I asked a question to the Coast Guard Admiral, about how many interdictions have they done in the same period of time. I'm not going to tell you what he said, but that is the question I had for him. I think he'd be surprised by the answer.
Has DoD reached out to you at all as a part of their investigation into the video?
The last thing I heard from DoD regarding me personally was in 2011, when I retired from the United States Navy and was given the Legion of Merit for my service to this country. So again, yeah, this is all a bunch of bullshit. And the reason why, I think, is because this is just about sending a message to retired service members, active duty service members, government employees. Do not speak out against this president, or there will be consequences.
Obviously, we had a classified hearing, so the details of which we can't discuss. It's, I believe, our 22nd or 23rd bipartisan engagement. We'll continue to engage with Congress on this. We're headed to the House now to do a similar briefing and provide updates on this counter-drug mission, which is focused on dismantling the infrastructure of these terrorist organizations that are operating in our hemisphere, undermining the security of Americans, killing Americans, poisoning Americans. And this has been a highly successful mission that's ongoing and continued, and we're pleased to be here today to update Congress on how that's developing and how that's moving forward. As I said, I believe it's our 22nd, 23rd such engagement, certainly been at least the fourth or fifth that I've been involved in, and those will remain and be ongoing.
What is the
Okay?
justification, Secretary?
I would just echo that. It is the 22nd bipartisan briefing we've had on a highly successful mission to counter designated terrorist organizations, cartels, bringing weapons meaning drugs, to the American people and poisoning the American people for far too long. So we're proud of what we're doing, able to lay it out very directly to these senators and soon to the House. But it's all classified. We can't talk about it now. We're also going to tomorrow allow the HASC and SASC to see the unedited video of the September 2nd, alongside with Admiral Bradley, who has done a fantastic job, has made all the right calls, and we're glad he'll be there to do it. But in keeping with long-standing Department of War policy, Department of Defense policy, of course we're not going to release a top-secret, full, unedited video of that to the general public. HASC and SASC and appropriate committees will see it, but not the general.
Those routes through the Caribbean are not to traffic fentanyl.
Did they confirm that to you in there?
Everybody knows that. They don't even have to. Nobody will even ask that question, because everybody understands that these are routes to traffic cocaine, predominantly to Western Africa and to Europe.
Has DoD reached out?
Senator Sheehy argued that interdiction of these narco boats will be too costly and it put our military service members in harm's way. Any response to that?
Well, I have tremendous respect for Senator Sheehy. I asked a question to the Coast Guard Admiral, about how many interdictions have they done in the same period of time. I'm not going to tell you what he said, but that is the question I had for him. I think he'd be surprised by the answer.
Has DoD reached out to you at all as a part of their investigation into the video?
The last thing I heard from DoD regarding me personally was in 2011, when I retired from the United States Navy and was given the Legion of Merit for my service to this country. So again, yeah, this is all a bunch of bullshit. And the reason why, I think, is because this is just about sending a message to retired service members, active duty service members, government employees. Do not speak out against this president, or there will be consequences. So it's a lot bigger than, just dealing with me. And that's why they don't handle this professionally. Like, you would expect at some point that DOD would notify me of, like, an investigation, but they haven't. And they haven't because I think what they really care about is the public message. They're going after me, a U.S. Senator, for something I said that was lawful. It was the truth. It was something people are trained on. It was something that Pete Hegseth said in 2016 multiple times. And in his case, specifically about this president and his concerns. They don't want other people saying these kind of things. So they're trying to shut people up. But In this case, they picked the wrong guy, because I'm not going to shut up about this. I'm going to continue to do my job. I'm going to stick up for our Constitution. I mean, I think Pete Hegseth is a guy goes to work every day to try to figure out how does he please the president. That's a recipe for some major problems.
I reiterated my demand of Secretary Hegseth in front of all 100 senators that he allow every senator to see the unedited version, the unedited video of what happened on September 2nd. He refused. The administration came to this briefing empty-handed. That's the major question that we face. And if they can't be transparent on this, how can you trust their transparency on all the other issues swirling about in the Caribbean? Every senator is entitled to see it. If there is no problem with sources and methods, because the senators will see it in the skiff. I also believe that every American should see an appropriate version of this, of the unedited, they should see an appropriate version of what happened on September the 2nd. I saw it. It was deeply troubling. In my Gang of Eight meeting last week, I asked Secretary Hegseth, let every senator see it. He said he'd think about it. Today, he came up with no answer and no tape.
So what was his reasoning?
His reasoning was that it might give things away that shouldn't be. I respect classification. When you do it in the skiff, that argument is undercut. It's just with senators in the skiff.
Can you help us understand if they gave any rationale of what the end goal of these strikes actually is? I imagine
Look,
the question you
that's
have.
and I sat through this briefing once before last week. We do not, their policies in the Caribbean are unclear. We don't know what the limits are. We don't know where they'll stop. We don't know what the ultimate goal is. The president says different things at different times and contradicts himself. That's why we need full transparency, at least to the 100 senators, and much more transparency to the American people. We don't want another endless war. We don't want to stumble into something, and given Trump's erratic back and forth on this issue, I worry about that. So do many Americans.